Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here with another Warhammer Total War online commentary. In this particular ladder battle, I will be piloting the Warriors of Chaos. So I've definitely been neglecting these guys lately, and I felt like it was about time that I got around to casting a Chaos game. So as far as my army composition goes, I tried to mix it up a little bit. Usually I like to get a front line of Forsaken, but against the Dwarves and considering the firepower and the damage that Thunders can really do to those type of units, I decided to change it up a little bit. So as far as my army composition goes, I have a front line of Chaos Marauders. Again, as the tooltip suggests, these are indeed the rank and file of the Chaos roster. So they're pretty mediocre units across the board, but they are shielded and, at the same time, they are quite expendable. So I have a front line of these guys, and I'm hoping that they'll absorb that thunder fire and any other missile attacks so that my Chosen with great weapons, who are the real backbone of my army, can get through. So front line of Chaos Marauders here, and then behind them, I have Chosen with great weapons. So if you guys take a look at their combat stats real quick, these guys are just absolute linebackers. They are so strong. They have 120 armor, a really high leadership. They're fairly slow in terms of their move speed, kind of equivocal to the Dwarves, I would say. But they have great melee attack, good melee defense, and then also high weapon strength, which is also really good considering their armor-piercing capabilities. And against the Dwarves, these are some of the best infantry you can get, if you can actually close the distance without taking too heavy losses. As you can see, he just had a nice cannon shot on that group of Chosen there. But once they do get in on the Dwarves, they can deal with everything. They can deal with Iron Breakers, they can deal with Longbeards, and cut through that armor. So they are a very good choice. As far as my leadership goes, I have an Exalted Hero, and I also have a Chaos Lord. So I decided to Manticore both of those, and it actually turned out pretty well for me. They do cause terror when they're on the Manticores, and they're also very mobile, and they can get back to those Thunders, they can cycle charge through the Dwarvish units, and I found them to be quite valuable in most of my matchups. As far as my wizardry goes, I have a Chaos Sorcerer with the Lore of Fire. I feel like this is, at least with how they change things in regards to the Lore of Death and how the meta shifted a little bit, I feel like the Chaos Sorcerer with the Lore of Fire is so good. The Flaming Sword of Ruin gives you a lot of flexibility in terms of damage augmentations on your units. You also have great defensive capabilities and armor-piercing buffs and all kinds of good stuff. So I really like it. And of course, you also have Fireball if you need to pick off a pertinent target. As far as the Vortex abilities go, I actually do not bring those, and I'm able to save some money with that. And it usually allows me to bring an extra group of Marauders or something like that. And of course, how could I neglect this lovely Hell Cannon who is taking some nice pot shots? Again, the Dwarves tend to have very tight formations, so I figured I would try a Hell Cannon. Normally I wouldn't because, you can get so much more if you don't bring a Hell Cannon. I could have brought another group of Chosen as well as like another group of Marauders. So at the end of the day, I don't think they're worth it, but they're very fun, so I was glad I got it. As far as my opponent's army composition goes, he has a very dynamic army. In the wings here, he has Miners and Iron Breakers, and then a matching formation over here. So these guys, they have very high leadership at 98 with the buffs, and then 120 armor. Their melee attack and weapon strength isn't as good as the Chosen with great weapons, so in a straight engagement, the Chosen will actually cut through them. But regardless, they can hold the line for a long time and do have those ranged attacks, which can be quite powerful. In his front line, he has Longbeards. Definitely a good front line. Chaos do sometimes bring monstrous units and Chaos spawn and those type of things, so it's usually a safe investment as Dwarfs to get the Longbeards, in my opinion. Behind them, he has some Miners with blasting charges, so he has a nice little concave here. And, as Chaos, you're usually pretty straightforward in terms of your strategy. You just march in and you got to just go fisticuffs, and unless you bring Marauder Horseman or all those type of units and you want to have some funny business going on, you're usually going to be a very hard-nosed, march right into the enemy lines. So he is prepared for that and will be throwing some blasting charges. In the back, he has Longbeards and then two groups of Thunders. He has a Dwarf Lord, and then he also has a Runesmith. So again, the Runesmith doesn't appear to have all of the upgrades, but it does have some. So it's definitely going to provide nice buffs considering this tight group he has here. So without further ado, let's get the game started. So I, of course, as I was previously mentioning, just begin to advance, and I knew that I needed to close the distance as soon as I can. His Thunders, he has an interesting little formation here, and it kind of is very cool. It protects both of his wings right here and kind of kept me from flying over and harassing with the Chaos Sword. I was trying to feel him out to see if there was any, pertinent areas that I could take advantage of, but at the end of the day, there was not. So he is still getting some nice shots with those Thunders, and now they're starting to tear into my Chaos Marauders in the front line, but that's totally fine. That's exactly what you want. You want these Chaos Marauders to take all of the brunt so that these Chosen can get in and just generate value all day. So the front line's engaging here, and you can see my troops are taking some serious firepower. These Chaos Marauders will definitely be routing very shortly with all these explosives and other unfun things coming their way. So I do get my Chosen in, and I use the Cascading Fire Cloak, which gives armor piercing as well as melee defense, because I really wanted to crack this center line here. And I also pull a group around here. I wanted to pressure all of his flanks. So I pulled these Chaos Marauders, and then I engaged these Chosen against these Iron Breakers. That is a very, very good matchup for these Chosen. In the back line here, I went ahead and brought both my Manticores back, and they're now getting in there and really, really causing havoc to these Thunders. And he's going to unfortunately be able to get some nice pot shots on me, but I was being very liberal with the use of my my hero here, my Chaos Lord, because he had 2 potions. So I was able to dive bomb, do some good damage, and then I pull the Exalted Hero, because again, he can't heal, so you need to be more careful with him. But with this Lord, I mean, he's just in there taking a beating, and look how many troops he's occupying. All of these troops are not fighting in the front line. So again, I was quite happy with that. My other group of Chosen over here were also engaged with the Iron Breakers. So again, I really wanted to get the maximum value out of those Chosen and have them cut through his very expensive units. I didn't want them fighting fodder units or Longbeards or anything like that. Fortunately, some of my Chaos Marauders are already beginning to rout, and he was focusing my Hell Cannon with his cannon. And as you can see, the Hell Cannon is just not a good investment. But I'm always tempted to bring it just because it's so cool, but you know, it usually doesn't work out. So right now, I was just kind of doing laps with my Chaos Lord and just running these Dwarves in circles. And this is something that's very, very frustrating to deal with as Dwarves. When somebody has a mobile Lord like this and they're able to just run through. Personally, that's why I like to bring a group of Slayers. I feel like it's so valuable because he could just, you know, park a group of Slayers right here, and it could easily just tie down this Chaos Lord and just, you know, keep him from generating all this value. And you can see this poor Dwarf Lord just chasing him in circles. So over here, I was casting every chance I got. I was using every single buff I could on this Chosen group because I figured that if I could crack this Ironbreaker group right here, then this Chosen could push through and just wreak havoc. So I was using all my Lore of Fire buffs on these Chosen right here, trying to win this battle. Over here, this is pretty much a stalemate. The Longbeards are superior infantries, but regardless, these Marauders do a pretty good job of just holding up. And as you guys can see, again, I use a Cascading Fire Cloak for that armor piercing, 36%, and the melee defense, it is very good and will help me cut through these extremely heavily armored troops. So over here on this wing, the Chaos Lord is continuing to do his laps. He's definitely been inspired by the recent Olympics and is just doing some work on these Thunders. And as you can see, he is just wasting so much time chasing this guy around. But he kind of has to be honest, or else these guys are just going to get destroyed. Over here, these Chosen are just such troopers. I mean, they have a Lord fighting them, Iron Breakers, and some Miners. And they're pretty much handling all 3 of those. And you can see, these Iron Breakers are getting crushed. And these Chosen, even though they're basically 3v1 and taking Thunder Fire, are really doing really, really well. So I was quite happy. So that center line, where I was able to apply that group of Chosen with those Chaos Marauders, I was able to crack that. So right now, these Chosen are going to run right through with their huge, great weapons, are just going to crush these Cannoneers and push through this front line here. So I was very happy about that. Though my opponent did have troops and auxiliary that he kind of was keeping in the wings, he now pushes those in and is doing a pretty good job here. So again, though, this Chaos Lord is just doing so good on that Manticore. He's just tying up Thunders, and anytime he's focused, you can just path him across and have him target something else. So over here in this wing, this battle is still very pitched, and as you can see, they have the Flaming Sword of Ruin, which is still very, very good, and I'm just really trying to crack this group here, because this is definitely his most value that he has on this, it would be my eastern, but his western flank. And, you know, they're generating so much value with those buffs from the Lore of Fire. And with Lore of Death, you might get like a Fate of Buna or 2. But still, I think that long-term value, especially in these really drawn-out, grindy, Chosen versus armored unit battles, I think the Lore of Fire is a much better choice. Over here, he was able to crush my Chaos Marauders, but that wasn't to be unexpected, as these Longbeards are definitely not pushovers. So if you look at the battle, topically speaking, it's going pretty well for me, but it's still pretty evenly matched. He has a fairly healthy Runesmith. His Dwarf Lord is not in bad shape, but unfortunately for him, my Chaos Lord is in very good shape, although I believe I have used both of my potions. My Chaos Sorcerer with the Lore of Fire is still pretty healthy, though my Exalted Hero is very low. I've been able to maneuver him away from being the focal point of the conflict and just have him kind of attack the flanks of different units, so he was doing very well. Thankfully for me, these Chosen were finally able to just crack these guys, and you can see these guys, even though they have tons of leadership, are finally shaken, and they will be going down here shortly. And these Chosen are going to be able to probably take out these Longbeards as well. So, though these Longbeards do have the armor-piercing great weapon, so it'll definitely be a little bit more of a pitched battle. Over here, most of his units are shaken or broken. Having that Chaos Lord and those Chosen, they're just so good against Dwarves with that armor-piercing capability. It's just such a valuable tool. And over here, things are going okay. I pulled the Exalted Hero to help out, but I'm telling you guys, Chosen, if you can actually get them where they need to be, that's the problem. They're so slow, and Chaos usually, it's very easy to tie up Chaos units with fodder units, so it's hard to get them where they need to be, but if you can get that ideal engagement where they can be going after units like Ironbreakers or Black Orcs, they'll really, really do very well for you. And this Exalted Hero was able to come over and help as well. And finally, those Ironbreakers cracked. And with that, I believe his Lord got taken out by my Lord as well as my Sorcerer, so it was a very good game. It was very hard to crack that. You know, the Dwarves are so resilient, and those Ironbreakers really held for a long time. To be honest, though, I don't think Ironbreakers are worth it. They're a very expensive unit, and their attack and combat stats, once they get rid of their satchel charges, are actually quite low. They do, you know, the satchel charges will do a little bit of shock, but as you guys can see, I mean, these Chosen just really, really outvalued them. He had Ironbreakers plus Miners plus another group on them, and the Chosen still won. So as far as the breakdown goes, the Marauders did okay. They, as you guys saw, they absorbed all those satchel charges. They absorbed all of those cannon and thunder fire. And thankfully, those Chosen were able to get in there. And look at that, 150 kills, 113 and 130. So just something to note that the Chosen with great weapons are quite good in the Dwarf matchup, in my opinion. But if my opponent had done a little better, perhaps, with using the cannons just to focus down the Chosen and nothing else, because he was targeting my Hell Cannon for quite some time. Though, at the end of the day, that Hell Cannon may have generated a lot of value if it was left alone. So who's to say if it was the right decision or not? Chaos Lord did quite well, and the Lord of Fire, again, was able to really push these Chosen and help them to generate maximum value. As far as my opponent's army composition goes, Longbeards, I'm telling you, they're such powerful units. They're just cost-effective and strong, and I mean, they did so good. Honestly, he probably could have gotten rid of Ironbreakers and had a group of Longbeards deal with the Chosen, and then could have had extra supplemental units to help out. But again, that's just my 2 cents. So definitely a good game to Sir Doc Holliday. It was a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you again on Ladder, and thank you guys for your support. I really appreciate it, and more content coming soon. I know you guys have been letting me know that you want to see some Bretonnian content, so I'll see what I can do. It's definitely my worst faction, but I'll do my best. Thanks again, guys, and have an excellent night.